What's up, guys? So Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is finally here, and it's directed by Gareth Edwards and stars Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, Ben Mendelsohn, Mads Mikkelsen, Alan Tudyk, and I just want to let you know that this is a non-spoiler review. I will not be giving any spoilers. I will not be hinting at any spoilers. I will just be giving you my opinions about the movie and what I thought about it. So let's just get started. And if you don't already know, the basic plot to this film is the first two paragraphs to the opening crawl to Episode 4, A New Hope. This film takes place right before that and is the story of how the rebels stole the plans to the original Death Star. And this is the first spin-off film in the Star Wars franchise. You know, they have the 7 episodes, and now you have the first anthology movie, the first experiment, if that's what you want to call it. That's what they're trying with this movie, with Rogue One. I mean, you have Han Solo, the Han Solo movie coming out, and other untitled spin-offs that we really don't know anything about. And then Episode 8 continues the Saga films next year. But like I said, this is the first spin-off film, so it is very different in tone. This is very much a war film, and none of the other Star Wars films really have that. I'm sure there's action in those, and there's fine action, dramatic action in those movies. But with Rogue One, it is pretty much a gritty war film. And with that, you would have a compelling story, which vaguely is, like I said before, the rebels stealing the plans to the Death Star. But how do they learn that there's a Death Star? You know, how do the rebels go to get the plans? How do they find out that there's plans? And without any spoilers, obviously we've seen the trailers. That's where Jyn Erso comes in. You know, her father, played by Mads Mikkelsen, Galen Erso is, he's involved in creating the Death Star. Also, if you read the book Catalyst, which I got like 75 pages into, which is not bad. But that's pretty much the plot. You know, Jyn Erso, she's lunged into this adventure once finding out that her father is involved in the making of this Death Star. So, you know, she's brought into the rebellion, pretty much, even though she might not want to be brought into the rebellion, but she is. And without giving anything else away, I just want to say that there are serious themes in this film which are somewhat realized. I feel like, for me, this is, not my favorite Star Wars film. It's not one of my favorite Star Wars films. Personally, for me, I really liked this movie. People are saying, is it better than Star Wars The Force Awakens? And personally, I'm going to say no, it's not. I think that the third act of this film is more memorable than any scene we've got from The Force Awakens, but I think as a film as a whole, The Force Awakens is a more cohesive moving story with still riveting action, exciting characters, and characters that we could actually care about. You see, in Rogue One, we're just given the characters that we're supposed to care about and go on the journey with. Now, they're likable characters, sure, and I liked them, and their personalities were great. K2SO, the best character in the film, because he's funny, and because he has the best lines, and because he's likable. And that's about it. All of these characters, Donnie Yen's character, pretty much Diego Luna's character, the other characters, that are part of this Rogue One team, they're just thrown in, and we're supposed to care about the group, but we really don't, because they're not developed enough. Even Jyn Erso, for me, other from what I told you before about her character, there's really nothing else to her. She doesn't seem to have a personality. She just seems to be a very one-note kind of character for a lot of the time. I'm not saying she gave a bad performance. I mean, she got emotional when she had to. She did the dramatic parts well. She did the action great. I'm just saying, the way the character was written, she really had nothing to her, except from what I told you before, without giving away any spoilers. There's really no personality there, I felt. But with the other characters, we had exactly the opposite of that. We had a personality, but with no development. So you don't really care. The only reason why you care is because of the circumstance that it is. We're stealing the plans to the Death Star. That's why we care. So, likable characters, yes. The situation, more compelling than the actual characters were. And speaking of the characters, let's talk about the bad guy to the film. Orson Krennic. Reading the book, I feel as though Catalyst, I feel as though, or reading, like I said, 75 pages in, just with those 75 pages, Krennic in the book is more realized there than he is in the film itself. We're teased of kind of what his mission is and what he's trying to do, but it's just kind of, again, uncompelling, because it's just like he needs to scream a lot, and he's trying to get his job done, and there's really nothing else there other than what he's trying to accomplish, which, if you want to call that development of what he's trying to accomplish in the film, other than creating the Death Star, for what he's trying to accomplish for himself, it's not very compelling. To me personally, maybe you see it differently, but for me, I don't think he was that much of a compelling villain. Now, there is a baddie in the film that we've seen in the trailers. Like I said, no spoilers, Darth Vader is in the movie. I'm not going to tell you what he does, I'm not going to tell you what he says. I'm just going to tell you he's in the film, but he's not in it long. You could expect Darth Vader in this movie for maybe 4 minutes total, if that. But when he is on screen, it is very effective and extremely satisfying. And I'll leave it at that. You won't be disappointed with Darth Vader in this movie. The CGI looks phenomenal. All the X-Wings flying around, the action, it looks great. You know, it's shot great, and the CGI is great. The space battles is great. Everything's great about the CGI. But there is one sort of CGI character. Like I said, no spoilers, but there is a CGI character similar to, well, not exactly similar to, but in the same vein of Maz Kanata in Star Wars The Force Awakens, or Snoke in The Force Awakens. It is a similar kind of thing. It is a CGI character. And I was expecting to see this character, but I wasn't expecting to get as much of this character as I did. And I had no issue with it. It was a bit offsetting at times, but you get used to it. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, this is the first Star Wars live-action film that's not scored by John Williams. You know, John Williams does the Saga films, which he will be doing episode 8, but this one is done by Michael Giacchino. And, you know, Star Wars music, you guys know, if you're new to the channel, you don't, but if you've been watching, you know I love film scores, and it's what I listen to. That's my kind of music, and the Star Wars score is some of the best music of all time. John Williams is my favorite composer, and the music he brings to those films, they have character. You know, and they're a thing of their own, and they elevate the movie. And this film, Giacchino's score is just very generic. To be honest with you, it's a generic score with no emotion to it, really. I mean, sure, you get your strings that you know, might just be sad or sweeping or whatever, but you don't get a great score. And with John Williams' music there that he could have used, it's used sparingly. And I understand it's because he's trying to create his new music and he's trying to do his own thing. But when you have the Empire at the height of their time and in their prime, you'd think that they would capitalize, or Giacchino would have capitalized on using the Imperial March a little more than he did. You might hear it twice in the film. Maybe even once. I don't know. I'm going to see it again tonight, but yeah, it was a bit disappointing. The score was a bit disappointing. And there's two themes I want to talk about in the film, just briefly. The first theme is, this is not a spoiler, it's just something I noticed about the music. The first theme is to Donnie Yen's character, and when we see him, this music starts to play, and the way that the music begins, it sounds so much like Across the Stars from Attack of the Clones. which is one of the best pieces of Star Wars music of all time. We're going to play how the song starts. It sounds very much like... Well, it doesn't go into the whole da-da-da-da-da-da, but it starts like... And the way that it goes, it sounds so similar to Across the Stars. I just noticed that. Something I noticed. And another theme in the film... it's to the Empire's theme that Giacchino created for the movie. It sounds like a twisted version of the March of the Resistance from The Force Awakens. Am I the only one that notices these things? I'll play a little bit of that for you too. It's hard to play sideways. I apologize. But if anybody else notices these tiny little things, comment as well, because I sure notice them. Now, as I hinted on before, the third act to this movie is phenomenal. When we get to what we were, going for the whole film, it's great. It's phenomenal, and you won't be disappointed. You buy your admission for the third act, even if the first two acts weren't as compelling. You go to see this movie for the third act, and it pays off 100%. It pays off. It is phenomenal. Maybe one of the best third acts in any Star Wars film. It's wonderful to watch. Wonderful. Without giving away anything, you will not be disappointed. But guys, in the end, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story is a very entertaining film with not so compelling characters, not a very good score, a great third act, and mostly seamless CGI. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it a lot, due to the third act saving the movie, pretty much. I mean, not that I didn't like it. If the third act wasn't as good as it was, I probably would have been at maybe 3.5. But with the third act as good as it was, we're at 4 out of 5. It is that good of an ending. The whole last half hour, you will love it. I love it, and it's great. Hey guys, comment below and give me your thoughts on Rogue One. What did you think about it? Don't spoil anything in the comment section, but what did you think about this movie? Do you agree with some of the things I said, or do you disagree? Especially with those things I was talking about, the music. Did you pick up on those things as well, or do you plan on seeing it? Did you not even see it yet? And guys, if you're curious of my top 8 Star Wars films, I don't think I've had time to actually do a video of my top 7, but now Rogue One is here. I could give you a top 8. And this might come as a bit of a surprise to you. I'll put my hands behind my head as if I'm going to get shot, because I feel like some of you are maybe going to disagree with what I'm going to say. But I did do a series last year leading up to The Force Awakens. If you want to watch my reviews, this is just my top 8. So number 1, there's really no surprises. The Empire Strikes Back with a solid 5 out of 5 stars. And number 2, I have A New Hope with a solid 5 out of 5 stars. And number 3 is actually The Force Awakens with 4.5 out of 5. 4 is Return of the Jedi with 4.5 out of 5. My 5th favorite Star Wars film is actually Revenge of the Sith. I know, don't kill me. I just feel like Revenge of the Sith, for me personally, has more compelling characters with a more compelling story. The whole way. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. All compelling. Not just with this film, Act 3. Compelling. That's how I felt about it anyway. And then my 6th favorite Star Wars film is this one, Rogue One, with 4 out of 5 stars. And then my 7th favorite is Phantom Menace with 2.5 out of 5. And then 8 is Attack of the Clones with 2 out of 5. Keep in mind, I do really enjoy all the Star Wars movies. So even the first 2, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, not really great films. But for me, it is Star Wars, and it's always fun to watch. And to hear John Williams' music in those is really fantastic. But guys, you can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter. The links to those are in the description of this video. And you can also follow me on Snapchat at RyanKing72 and on Instagram at KingOfRises131. Guys, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching my review for Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Over and out.